Okay, sound check. Make sure I can be heard. Sounds like my mic is working good. Maybe a little too good. Thank you, Tammy. All right, guys, I've never done an online birthday. Guess there's a first time for everything. So I've got the link pinned at the top. If anybody wants to hop on the panel, um, thanks, Elizabeth. And thanks for hanging in there, Sleuth Mom. I know it's probably way past your bedtime. You're probably good at sleeping. I see you on Twitter like as soon as I wake up. So thank you. I hope I'm still this cute in another 40 something years. I'm not going to say exactly how many. I'm almost halfway to 100. If I get my great grandma's genes, I'll be good to go. So I don't know, guys. Tonight is just going to be a fun hangout. We can just talk about some stuff. If you guys want to ask me any questions, get to know me, you can ask me almost anything. And I might share a few fun stories. If you want to hop on panel, you're welcome to. The link is at the top. Thanks, Arctic. Oh, that's a blessing, Tammy. Happy late birthday. The funniest story of my life. The funniest story of my life would have to be why I don't smoke weed anymore. Okay, so excuse me. Y'all gotta excuse me. My allergies been kind of acting up. I was dusting some stuff earlier, so it's getting to me. So why I don't smoke weed anymore? Let me. Oh, I definitely got plenty of happy childhood memories to tell you. All right, so let me set the setting right. Picture this: Sicily, 1942. No, seriously though, probably mid 90s. I can't remember exactly how old I was. I was like 19, 20, 22, something like that. So I had two brothers. There's my brother Jeff and then my brother Omar. And Jeff was away at college. He came home for, I can't remember what holiday it was. Omar had been in jail and he got out that night. Well, we all like to smoke weed together. So I said, well, since both of my brothers are going to be around, I'm going to go get us some of the good stuff. So I went and got us some of the supposedly good stuff, except I couldn't find my regular person, so I bought it from one of their homeboys. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. So my brother Jeff and I were sitting at the end of the driveway like we usually do, and we're just chatting and, doing our little thing. Just puff, puff, pass. Yeah, I am a Golden Girls fan. Picture it, Sicily. So anyway, so we smoked. We smoked probably 3, 4 months. So then my other brother gets out and he calls me. He's like, I'm home, I'm home. So I go over to his house. And we do the same thing. We smoke, tell old stories. Remember that time I climbed the tree and fell on my head? Stuff like that. So probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, yeah, man, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to go home. So I was gonna walk home because it really wasn't that far, and we lived in a decent neighborhood. So I started walking. I think I got to the first quarter from my brother's house, and I looked and I saw the elementary school. And for some reason, in the neighborhood that I was born and raised in, I was completely lost. I had no idea where I was. So I turned around. I said, well, I'm going to go back to his house until, I come down a little bit. So I went back. Took me 30 minutes to find his house. Now, mind you, I was only half a block away. Took me 30 minutes to find his house. Knocking and tapping on his window. Wake up, come back outside. Let me in. No answer. So finally, I go behind the house and I'm like, I'm just going to sit in the yard, find me a chair, just sit in the yard till I'm okay or whatever. Oh, dear God. I started tripping balls, as they say. The wind was blowing in the trees and it sounded like the trees were whispering. All the dogs in the neighborhood were barking and they were talking. And this is the worst part. I was in the city limits. There is no livestock in the city limits where I'm from. So help me, I heard a rooster kept crowing, and every time that rooster crowed, it sounded like it was saying, look at her. I was so bad off. So I'm sitting there squat down with my head in my hands, just waiting to get better. Making all the promises that you make when you're bad off. I'll never do this again. Just help me. I'll never do it again. This will never happen again in life. And while I'm over there tripping, my brother then came out the house and I didn't even hear him. I just looked up and suddenly he was standing there over me and I like to jumped over the house. He scared me so bad. Yeah, it was. And that is why I do not smoke weed anymore. And that's the story that I used to tell like my kids and I told like all my little younger cousins and stuff, nieces and nephews, like, look, y'all don't do it. Just leave it alone. Don't do it. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but from that day to this, I will never find out. I'll never have that experience again. So that's probably the funniest story of my life. And my brother never let me forget it. Yep. For a long time, he would just randomly just come out and be like, cock-a-doodle-doo. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to slap you. So, yeah. And there's my Just Say No PSA. But the good part about it is, thankfully, I will never fall into like really hardcore drugs because I learned the lesson just off weed. This is almost as funny as me getting called to do a repo Christmas with flashing blue Christmas lights everywhere after smoking a sack. Huh. You picture that. Yeah, he is. I had some good times with him. Um, Childhood memory. I'm gonna give you a good one. I was just telling my daughter about this, and oh gosh, she laughed at me so hard. So my great grandparents who raised me was a pastor and a missionary. and he had a church in a different state. So we would go to Alabama every third and fifth Sunday. And I was too young to remember this, but trust me, my family let me know about it enough that I almost remember it. On the way to Alabama to the church, you would always see like fields of like cows and horses and stuff. And apparently, I had got it in my mind that cows were big dogs. And Granddaddy would just pick at me. He was like, "You remember when you were scared to get on the floor because you thought the big dogs was gonna get you?" So apparently, for a long time as a kid, or at least relatively long for a kid, I was afraid to like be put down because I thought the big dogs, which are actually cows, were gonna come get me. So I was a weird kid. I don't know, some kind of creative imagination. Um, yeah, I had a fun childhood. Lots of funny stories. And for some reason, I just completely drew a blank. I'm not really used to just like sitting and talking about me. Don't doesn't everybody though like everybody who's ever like drank or something has always had that God I'll never do it again moment. I'm working with Restream tonight, so it's kind of new to me. I've used it before, but not quite often. Well, I was a little kid. Yeah, I'm kind of a city country girl. Like I have country ways because my great grandparents raised me, and they're like from little small towns in Alabama that I literally could not find them on the map. They're somewhere not far from Selma, Alabama, but when you look them up on the map, like one of them doesn't even show up. So I was raised with really country ways, but I was raised in the city. Someone is lurking in the sky watching. Most likely, I got a few angels. Tomorrow for my birthday. Um, I have promised the girls that they can go and pick out my birthday cake. They say they want ice cream cake. My tradition is cheesecake, so we're gonna have ice cream cake and cheesecake. And we're gonna have a birthday party in the living room. I'm not sure exactly what that's gonna be because I kind of am gonna just let them do their thing. They think I'm weird because every year on my birthday I tell my grandkids happy birthday, and they're like, "It's your birthday." I was like, "I know, happy birthday." So yeah, tomorrow will be a birthday party with my girls, and if the weather is not too cold, we might go hang out at the park or something. Oh no, not my kids. These are my grandkids. So I have three granddaughters here, but my kids I have four. I have two girls and two boys. Then my grandkids I have one, two, three, four, five, six girls and three boys. Fertile family. I know, right? I cannot believe that the Golden Girls actually was one of my favorite shows because I was a kid when that just shouldn't have even been a show that I really liked like that. But I used to love that show. Sophia was the best, and Rose. God rest Betty White's soul. Rose was the best airhead you ever met. So sweet. How old was I? I had my first when I was 15. Oh yeah, where is Frank in his dress? He better show up, and it better be a sparkly dress. If he's gonna come to the party, he gotta show out. Oh wait a minute, something got deleted. We got a lot. Okay, Tammy's comment got deleted, but I'm gonna read it. It says we got a lot in common. I grew up in St. Louis, but in the summer we spent with my grandparents way in the mountain with an outhouse. Everything keep us from knowing about hippies and Vietnam War. No, that's right. Ain't nothing like growing up with your grandparents. I love watching it when it was on. I still can't believe they talked about all the things, didn't they? They were like a really forward show. They were ahead of their time. But I think they could get away with it because they wrapped it up in comedy. Tammy crying, sorry, only mods can post. Oh, okay. You must have accidentally like put something right by a period and it showed as a link or something. Streamlabs mods. Uh, yeah, Streamlabs is on crack. Let me repost Tammy's comment though. It was a good comment. So there's Tammy's comment for everybody that didn't get to see it. Go. All right. Um, I don't know. What's next? What's next? What's next? Oh my goodness. Frank's worse than a woman. He takes so long to get ready. By the time he gets here, the party will probably be over. Oh my goodness. What did he do to get kicked off Facebook? I can imagine. He might have been promoting his OnlyFans. So I heard that creators are actually going to OnlyFans for real because of like the YouTube restrictions and stuff. I think one of my favorite creators actually did go over to OnlyFans. It's like he kept joking about it, and then like I haven't seen him post anything in probably like a month. One video. Oh, Sleuth, it might be time to put Frank back in the basement. He's getting out of line. Okay, I don't understand it. Something about a message to Crystal Sorry, and then Arctic, you're saying he supported Harmony's mom. Crystal is Harmony's mom. I'm confused. Who's that? There's my sleuth mom. Hey, you. Oh, wait a minute. I can't hear. I think I need to turn my volume up. Okay, what's going on? Hello? Hmm.
Okay, wait. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. Awesome. No, so I couldn't figure out how to turn my camera off. So, but I just wanted to jump up and say hi and
Hi.
wish you happy birthday.
Thank
And I
you.
hope everybody is going to have fun tonight. And I don't know, like, I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, I'm just having a little fun here. First time doing an online birthday anything. I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Right, right. No, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I guess we just sit and talk and say happy birthday. Get everybody up on panel, guys. Click the link. Come up on
Yeah,
panel.
click the link. Let's have a chat party.
I
Let me hear
still
some of
can't.
you guys' crazy stories.
Right? Hmm. Oh.
Well, thanks for hopping on, Sleuth. Just made my birthday. Yay! I'm a cool kid now. Uh, yeah, see, that's why I don't plan on like ever contacting actual people in these cases because you just never know which way that's gonna go. I just don't even think that's a good idea ever.
Oh, I missed something.
Oh, I was reading Elizabeth's comment and she was saying that she thinks Frank was trying to help Crystal and it went sideways. And I was just like, that's why I don't think I ever want to like be in direct contact with anybody on any of these cases because you just never know how it's gonna go or when it's gonna go AWOL or what.
Right, right.
Yeah,
No,
even the
that
best
makes sense.
intentions can backfire so quickly.
You know what, too? I didn't even see what happened. Hold on, I keep pressing buttons. I'm trying to do this from my phone. It's probably not going to work. Anyways, I didn't even see what happened because I was out of town like all day today.
Uh huh.
And so he like sent me comments on YouTube letting me know that like his Facebook profile was gone. He literally had just joined the group today.
Wow.
And yeah, and I guess stuff like just went south super fast, which honestly those reports that came out were very poorly timed since I was gone all day today, like, and then one of the moderators like started the whole bashing Crystal Fest, and it was just bad. It was just bad. I had to delete so much and remove so many people today. It was ridiculous.
I'm gonna try
So,
to spend more time in the groups.
you know what? I'm awful with it. Um, I wanted the group so that there could be discussion and stuff, but I never anticipated the cases. Like, I never anticipated Ariel Sellers getting up to 2,800. I
Yeah.
never anticipated Harmony getting up over 31,000, 3,100. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot. And then you have to find mods that you can trust. And that's so challenging. Like I said, today it was one of the moderators that kind of took things completely AWOL. So it was a pain.
Yeah, I'll make
But
sure I spend more time in the groups. I like take the time and like read the posts before I approve them, but I don't really get it actually in the group very much lately to read most of the like back and forth.
mm-hmm. but But I don't know. I'm going to jump back down off panel. Somebody else jump up here, though. And I wanted to say happy birthday again. And
Thank
I'm
you.
going to be in the chat.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Let's see. Crazy like not being from the country. I was young and he in the woods knew I had white. So glad Aaliyah. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. That's terrible. That's definitely a country girl memory. Okay, so childhood memory. My great grandma, like I told you, they were from little bitty small towns in Alabama, Camden and Minton. So my great grandma was a kid. What in the world? What happened? I'm gonna I'm gonna figure out how to turn off this Streamlabs mod because that's just too much. All she said was "Oh no, Tammy." That's crazy. So let me try to do that real quick, and then I'll tell you the grandma story. Take you out of there. Settings, community. Yeah, no more Streamlabs. You gotta go. Yeah, I just tried to fix that. I just turned Streamlabs mod off. Let me see if I can fix it like that. That's that's crazy. Yeah, Streamlabs is done now. I'm not gonna be using that until I can figure out how to fine tune it just right. Yeah, Streamlabs is always yelling at people. So okay, the grandma story. Um, she was like a really hard down country girl. You know, raise your own, grow your own vegetables, raise your own animals, butcher your own meat. So I have never in my life seen my grandma ever wear pants except, and she called it hog killing day. So we lived in the city. Ever so often, she would buy a whole hog from some of her people up in Alabama. Dude would bring the whole hog, back the truck up to the carport. Grandma would go get her little 38, pop, shoot the hog in the head. They'd take him out in the backyard, string him up, and she would butcher her own hog, cut her own pork chops, her own pork steaks, butcher her own ribs, everything. Only time I ever saw my grandma wear pants. She'd make her own sausage and everything. Hog killing day in the middle of the city. So that's one of my favorite memories, though, because man, she would make the best sausages. Oh my God. My grandma could cook anything and it would be absolutely marvelous. I mean, all she ever really needed was salt, pepper, and onion, and she could cook anything to perfection. I miss her. I miss her kitchen. Yay! You're mine. Yeah, just to make sure you can get back in there. I don't know what Streamlabs got going on. I just turned Streamlabs off. We're not friends anymore. I put Streamlabs in timeout. It was actually not as outrageous as it sounds though, because excuse me, because it was literally just like one shot. It was a it was something for a kid to watch though. Like it was really interesting. I found it so amazing that she could do that. And she had the old school like sausage grinder, and she'd grind up her, yeah, it really is. And watching the chicken fly across. Now that did mess with me. I saw her kill a chicken once, and that one kind of weirded me out. That one kind of weirded me out. Now my granddad, he used to like turtle soup, and so my grandma had got a turtle to make him some turtle soup, and you have to cut the head off, and I didn't know that like a turtle's head can still bite for a while afterward. And so they threw it under the house, like way under the house, because we had dogs. And, to keep the dogs from getting bit by the turtle head. Well, one of the dogs decided that they knew how to get under the house and go over there and get the turtle head, and the doggone thing clamped down on the dog's nose. Oh my God, you should have saw that dog running around the yard. We had to chase it down and pin it down to get the turtle head off of it because it had locked on it so tight. I don't think I ever saw that dog go into the house again after that. I'm not too fond of chickens either. Chickens actually kind of scare me. They're weird. Yeah, she won't. I guarantee you, she never thought about messing with a turtle head again after that. It wasn't bad. Like she wasn't hurt, she wasn't bleeding or anything like that. But I'm sure it didn't feel too good because she was back playing as soon as my grandpa got it off her. That was a weird dog too. That dog actually, I got that dog when I was 6 months old. My grandmother, my great grandparents' daughter, worked at a college, and one of her coworkers gave her the dog for me when I was a baby. It was a collie mix. She kind of looked like Lassie with her coloring, but just like a few shades lighter. And I had that dog until I was maybe 10 years old, I think I was. Right at about 10 years old, she lived. Yep. And she was a dog that would not come in the house. Like, whenever I remember once during a hurricane, uh, and it was supposed to be like a really bad storm. So my grandparents decided to bring her in. She did not want to be in the house. She wanted to be outside. She was literally trying to get outside, even though it was a storm. Like she was really just seriously not an indoor dog. What are mean? The turtles? Let me tell it, all turtles are mean. Just because they snap at you. But then again, I don't really like reptiles and amphibians anyway. Actually, I'm pretty much scared of everything. If it has more legs than me, if it has more teeth than me, if it has appendages that I don't have, like tails, stuff like that, I'm pretty much scared of all of it. Lizards, spiders, geckos. There's almost nothing I'm not afraid of. Hey, Arctic, how you doing?
Doing all right. Happy
Let me tell you, all
birthday.
turtles are mean. Thank you. They snap at you. Oh, the chickens. Chickens are mean. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, chickens are mean. I used to have ducks and chickens, and those two they would fight each other.
You really don't want to mess with ducks.
Ducks are babies compared to geese. Now you want to get pecked at real hard, you get your some geese in a pen.
That must be what I'm thinking about. Geese are the ones that'll chase you, right? Anyway, actually, I'm pretty much scared of everything. If it has more legs than me, if it has more teeth than me, if it has appendages that I don't have, like tails, stuff like that, I'm pretty much scared of all of it. Lizards, spiders. Oh, Arctic, I think you might need to mute your YouTube. Nothing I'm not afraid of. Hey, Arctic, how you doing?
Doing all right. Happy birthday.
Thank you. You got an echo, Arctic. Yeah, they are. Mute your YouTube.
Yeah, I used to have ducks and chickens, Americans, and those two that they would find. Hold on.
That might be better.
All right, I closed my YouTube out, so this should be better.
Cool. So, were you raised in the country, Arctic?
Off and on, I used to go out to my great uncle's farm, and it was funny because we had a deer that used to come up and eat out of my hand all the time when I'd go out there to visit. And when I graduated from high school, my great uncle sent me a big old thing of deer jerky, and I went up to his farm that next year, and I was like, "Where's my deer at?" And he's like, "Well, you liked that jerky, didn't you?"
Oh goodness, that's so traumatic. I don't think I
I
would have knew what to do.
I was in shock. I didn't know what to say.
Like, are you kidding me, Unc? You just fed me Bambi.
Oh
Wow.
man, he was a crazy old man though. So
Gotta love crazy uncles. I do love deer meat though. They're cute and they taste good. I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean, I love me some deer jerky, but I wasn't expecting it to be my deer.
I
I
know,
mean,
right? Yeah, that's kind of a party killer. Hey, nephew, guess what?
yes, Elizabeth, he was very ornery, and I know where my daddy got his orneriness from now.
Thinking black man.
Oh, speaking of my dad, he passed away this past Thursday. We had to have his funeral today. So
I'm so sorry to hear that.
yeah, I haven't seen you on in the past week or so, so I didn't have a chance to let you know. So because I know last
Yeah,
time we talked, I was telling you about how how I had to be careful and time my lives just right because he sure enough,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, that's so sad to hear.
Yeah, it was crazy. He was in the hallway, and it looked like he'd fallen asleep in his wheelchair, but he was struggling real hard to breathe, and I tried to wake him up. My mom tried to wake him up, and we couldn't get him to wake up. So I had my husband call 911, and number one, it took them 20 fucking rings to answer the phone.
Oh
And then
wow.
it took them another 20 minutes to get to the house. And by the time they got here, his heart had stopped. He had stopped breathing. They worked on him for 20 minutes here at the house and then another 20 minutes at the hospital, and they just couldn't get him back.
Oh goodness. That's sad. But at least he was surrounded by family and love.
Well, and at least he's not suffering with that dementia anymore and he's not in pain anymore. So
Yeah,
I take some comfort in that. So,
yeah.
but yeah, my dad was an honorary one too.
Okay,
That's
tell me a
where I
dad
get it from.
story.
Oh Lord, I got a bunch of them, but my favorite one, my grandma, she had Alzheimer's. And before it got real bad, she was still driving and everything. And she'd been calling the house, waking me up, waking my dad up every day for like a month straight. Something always wrong with her car, and there never was really anything wrong with her car. So my dad said, "You know what? We're going to give her a reason to say there's something wrong with her car." So it had been 4th of July had just passed and everything. He goes over there and he helps me hook a bunch of fireworks, firecrackers, and everything up to her car where she turns the ignition and this shit just starts going off everywhere. And she liked to had a heart attack.
Mm.
But she calls it all excited and everything. I was like, okay, Grandma, I'll come over there and I'll check your car out. And It was funny. It wasn't funny looking back on it because we really could have given her a heart attack. But
Yeah, never want to scare grandma too much. I can't wait until my grandkids are having to worry about scaring me. I'm gonna get them. I swear to God, I got so many jokes planned for when that day comes.
oh, he was always doing stuff like that. My cousin had a Volkswagen Beetle, and she always had something wrong with her car when there never was anything wrong. And so he told her, Jeannie, I know exactly what's wrong with your car. You need to go take that down to Mr. Bill and get your radiator flushed. Volkswagen Beetles don't have radiators. And so the mechanic calls my dad and goes, Bill, I know it was you that sent her down here telling her she needed a radiator flush.
Oh my goodness. He sent her on a snipe hunt. That's awful.
Yeah, Alzheimer's is terrible on everyone, Elizabeth. I mean, and no, we're supposed to have a dedicated 911, but I don't know what the deal is. I mean, we're an incorporated city, so they should have been Johnny on the spot answering. But yeah,
You never can tell them. I mean,
so
I
I
remember
really
when I lived.
haven't been doing much content at all this past week, but I'm gonna throw myself into it this next week. I've got to do something to keep my mind off everything. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that 911 thing, it can be a mess sometimes. Because I remember, like, when I lived in Dallas, and you would think that you wouldn't have a problem with getting in touch with emergency services in that big of a metropolitan area, but there were times when you would call and it would actually be busy. I've actually called 911 in Dallas and it went to a voicemail.
That's crazy. But our 911 system here, it sucks. I mean, we had really bad flooding, not last year, but the year before. I mean, we're talking biblical level floods. And one of the newspaper carriers um, got stuck in high water, and she called 911. And the 911 operator was telling her that she was stupid and this was her own fault for driving off into high water. And I wanted to reach through my cell phone when I'm listening to this 911 call and just bitch slap that 911
I know
operator.
exactly which call you're talking about, man. That call had me in tears because I listened to 911 calls a lot, and I mean the way she talked to her, and then the fact that that ended up being that lady's last moments of life, and that's what she had to get. That's what she had to hear. Like wow.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Like
thank you,
some people
Elizabeth.
should
I appreciate the compliment.
think again before they go into certain fields. Like if you're not a people person, why would you work in an area that has you supposed to help people?
Well, supposedly it was this chick's last day on the job, but that doesn't matter. I mean, if you're in
Exactly.
that type of work and everything, and I understand, with the floods you were getting bombarded with calls and shit, but that's not the job for you to have if you can't handle that type of pressure.
Exactly. It's crazy. I actually thought about being a 911 dispatcher for a while.
See, I don't think I could do that just because of my PTSD. I'd sit there and have panic attacks trying to take the calls.
You know, the thing about me, I am oddly calm under pressure, like in extreme circumstances. I found that over my life, like times when you would think that, where I would think that I would really freak out in certain circumstances, I get this weird calm and level headedness about myself.
Yeah, some people are really great under pressure, and I mean, I wish I was calmer under pressure. And see, and that's part of the thing too. I'm second guessing my actions that night. I think, what if I had been just a little bit quicker trying to call 911 instead of thinking he was asleep and trying to wake him up? But in a situation like that, I tend to panic and not know what to do. So.
Yeah, I think I realized that I was calm under pressure when, as a teenager, like I didn't really hang with this person, but they were kind of like associated with people that I associated with. Like I've always had like a really small circle. So you know how as a teenager you have groups and then you have groups that kind of overlap. And so this person was actually part of like an overlapping group. We probably knew two people in common. Well, there was a shooting in an apartment complex, and so everybody ran over there to see what was going on. And like everybody was screaming and freaking out or whatever, and I was just weirdly calm. Like if I had been able to be on the phone with 911 and know how to do like compressions and stuff like that, I probably would have tried to help him, but it was so many people around that you couldn't even get to him. But I was just not freaking out like everybody was. I was just so calm.
I see, and a lot of people are like that. I mean, I used to be like that years ago, but I get too worked up anymore. And yeah, Elizabeth, I know the shoulda, coulda, woulda end up killing me, and you know, hindsight's 2020, and I can't help but try to but second guess myself on some of this stuff. It's just something I've always been guilty of. So
Oh, my Sleuth Junior isn't feeling well. Kisses to the baby.
tell Junior that we're all hoping she gets to feeling better. Maybe Frank will put on a pretty dress for her when she gets to feeling better.
I'm mad at Frank. Frank ain't showed up yet. How is it a party without Frank?
I know, right? And he's everywhere any other time.
He probably was pre-partying and got too drunk and passed out. Look, he was constantly sipping while he was trying to figure out which sparkly dress to put on.
Well, I know he said he was going to take a nap because he had worked or something, but I thought for sure he'd be here.
Catch the replay. If I leave it up, I don't know. This might be one of those disappearing lives.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of people that are good at being calm in high pressure situations.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I'm not one of them. I've been trying my best to stay calm and everything throughout this whole funeral thing, so not break down in front of my mom and my husband. But I'll tell you what, when I went to that funeral home and I saw my daddy laying in that casket, I went out to my Mustang and I bawled my eyes out for a good 30 minutes.
Yeah. That can be hard, even when it's expected, though. I mean, when my great grandma passed, and she was basically my mom. She raised me when I was 6 months old. So my great grandparents were basically my parents. Plus, they adopted me and my brother, so they were our parents. But I mean, when she passed, even though we expected it, because she had some health issues and she was like 89 when she passed, it was still hard. It's still like a piece of you that's just gone. And like whenever you lose someone that close, it leaves a hole that no one or anything else will ever fill. So
Yeah,
even
I
if you
mean,
expect it, it's hard.
it's it was one thing with my grandmother. We expected it. We knew it was coming. She had been suffering from breast cancer for a while and everything. And yeah, my dad was sick with dementia. He had had MS for years, but every time he went in for his checkup, his blood pressure was great. Everything was great, and this came out of the blue. We weren't expecting it at all. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not mad at Frank. Not for real. Can't be mad at Frank. He's too much fun.
yeah, Frank's my buddy. We like to pick on each other.
Frank keeps the chat popping. Yeah. I've been sitting here trying to think of where did the happy conversation go? It's your birthday. Yeah, it's our birthday. I've been sitting here trying to think of a birthday memory, and I don't know why I can't think of a birthday memory. I absolutely cannot. except for when I turned 21, and like I didn't even go out to drink, but I stopped at every store and went in every club that I could and bought a drink just because I could, even if I didn't drink it. I just wanted to be able to whip out my ID and be like, I'm legal.
So, what type of cheesecake and ice cream cake are you getting?
I always get the cheesecake that has like a bunch of different flavors in it. I always get one of those, the big one. And the ice cream cake, I don't know what it's called, but I love it. The grandkids are going to actually have to figure out which one it is. Believe it or not, the first time I had ice cream cake was this past Thanksgiving holiday when my other granddaughter was out here for her birthday party because her birthday was like a couple of days after Thanksgiving, and she had an ice cream cake. That was the first time in my entire life I've ever had ice cream cake. So
Wow. See,
yeah,
I always got ice cream cakes for their anniversary or for my dad's birthday. But I always had to get one that was half and half because my mom loves chocolate and my dad can't stand chocolate, so I'd get him vanilla.
uh, well, this one has like it's got this. I think it's like chocolate chips in it, and then it's like chocolate ice cream, and then there's vanilla ice cream, and then it has this white icing that isn't quite icing. I know what it looks like, but I just don't know what it's called.
You were pregnant on your 21st birthday, so I guess you were having pickle cake for your birthday, huh?
I know, right? Pickle ice cream cake, pickle flavored ice cream cake. Oh my! I
Uh,
remember those days. I never craved pickles and ice cream though. But I had weird cravings with each one of my kids. And my oldest daughter, it was always pepperoni pizza. I could not get enough pepperoni pizza.
See, I don't know what my mom craved with me, but when she was pregnant with my little brother, it was foot long chili cheese dogs with extra onion from Sonic and foot long long johns with cream Bavarian cream filling from her favorite bakery.
Those Bavarian creams are good. And I can't remember which kid each other craving was, but with one it was Subway, with one it was Burger King, and with one it was KFC.
Oh shoot, I might be pregnant with three kids if that's the case, because I crave
Oh
all
dear
three of those
God,
all the
Arctic is having triplets.
time.
You know, I
Cream.
have a grandkid who loves lemons. Like she'll just eat them like oranges.
See, I can't. That's too. And I love Sour Patch Kids, but lemons are just too sour for me.
Yeah,
And
I can't.
I
I'm
like
not
lemons
too
in my
big on the
candy.
sour stuff.
Well, see, Mexican foods, that's not an abnormal craving. That's just normal food.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna end up being a disappearing live because da, da, da. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I'm not gonna leave these up. Come on. I need a mouse for this computer is what I need.
Yeah, see, I've got a little mouse pad thingy on mine, and it's very sensitive. Way too sensitive.
Okay, here we go. See my babies.
Aw.
Where y'all at? Where y'all at? Where y'all at? I don't want places. I want people. This is my oldest baby. It's my twin, and she mean too, just like me. She got a good mean streak on her. That's my
How
baby.
old's she?
She will be 31 this year.
Dang, girl, you don't sound old enough to have a girl that old.
And there she is again. Girl got so much hair on her head. Yeah, I'm kind of old. Let me see. And this is number 2, my baby girl.
Aw. She's a nurse?
Yes, December 2020. No, December 2019 she graduated. Oh wait, where'd my picture go? That was her graduation. This was at her Nightingale ceremony. These are the 3 that's here with me now, or that I'm here with.
Wow.
Let's see, where my boys at? It's my oldest boy. I love him. He was the one that could never stay in trouble when he was a kid. He's yeah, I was thinking that the other day, Slew. I was like, because when you talk, I'm like, she's young, but you're so mature to be your age. Like you're amazing. You really are. I would have been proud to be your mom, but this kid could never, ever, ever stay in trouble. Like he would do silly stuff all the time when he was a kid. I remember one time he got in trouble, or he almost got in trouble. Him and his godbrother were playing on the phone at the house, like in some kind of way they recorded like on the voicemail. And so they were little, maybe 7, 8 years old, and they're like throwing back and forth the little bitty curse words they know, like the D word or the S word, just throwing them back and forth each other, and they were kind of like daring each other to say it. So it got recorded. And when I heard it, I'm like, Kai, come here. What is this? I was ready to go and fuss at him, and he looked at me and cocked his head to the side and went, "Go away," with the most silly look on his face, and I'm like, "Go away, what is this?" I had no idea what it meant, what it was. I'm like, "What's wrong with this child?" So I was like, "Man, look, go on over there somewhere," because he busted out laughing. Kind of find out. That's what they used to pick at one of his other god brother, because they said that when he would snore when he was asleep, that's how he sounded when he snored. I didn't know. I thought the boy was losing his mind. I was like,
Wow. So how many do you have altogether?
4, and this is my baby boy with his cute self.
Aw.
And this is my favorite picture of my boys together. It's like not even the best picture in the world, but it's just, I don't know. I just love this picture. This is background on my phone and all. I love that picture of them. Where my babies at? This is my little sidekick that was making all the noise the other night.
She's a cutie pie.
Yeah, I love that. She is so sweet. She's learning her colors and her numbers, and she is so proud of it. She's like, she'll count. You got to count with her. This one, she is, how old are you now? She's 2014. So she's like 7 now. 2000, yeah, 2013. So she's like 7 now. Almost 8. This is my grandson. We call him Fat Man. If I can get a good picture of him. I got tons of pictures, but
You got mail.
this is an older picture, but he's 6 now. Little kindergartner. And know he can talk. That is a busy baby. This is my oldest grandbaby. Thought I had a newer picture of her. Oh, I gotta scroll up. I can't let y'all see my old birthday party. Where's she at? There she is. That's my Yana. That's my sweetheart. That's the one that made me a Gigi. She's a spitting image of her mama too. She every bit of her mama. And then I think this is gonna be the last one. I like this one because now she's 8 now and she's 6. This one decided to play barber and cut this one's hair off.
Wow.
Every bit of it. Every single lock on her head. Cut it off.
That's okay. I played barber with myself when I was that age. Had one of those Disney toy train sets, and my bright ass, I'm 3, 4 years old. I take the train off the tracks and I stick it in my hair. So they had to cut all my hair off my head just to get that damn train out of it.
Wow. But fortunately, she's a little cutie, so she was cute even with her short hair. Where'd she go? Yeah, she's cute even with a little short hair. I actually think that looked really good on her. Yep, that's my babies.
Kids are great. I'm wanting to adopt so bad, but we tried in Arkansas, and they discriminated against us. We had a glowing home study. We had our neighbors all writing about how great we were with their kids and everything, and they came back and said, "Well, no, we can't let you adopt because um, you're on disability and you take medication." And the fact of the matter is, and we all know it, it was because we're a same-sex couple.
Yeah,
That's what
most
it
likely.
comes down to. So that's why I have so many issues with the system. Is they'd rather these kids rot in the system when there's parents out there that want to adopt them, but no, I'm sorry, you're gay. We won't let you.
Yeah, and that sucks because I mean, there's so many kids out there that need a home and need to be loved. Thanks, guys, for all the compliments. Yes, those are my cute little babies. They keep me on my toes.
Oh
They
wow,
are what
I
keep
can
me
imagine
going.
Sleuth.
I think I got lost. Let's see. I was 4 and had never had a haircut. I cut the front of my brother, cut the back of my mom, cried for hours. Huh. I bet she did.
Wow,
When Gabby cut Tato's hair, their mom was livid. She was not happy.
I'll never forget one of my best friends. His stepmom was pure evil, and I was spending the night at his house one night, and we decided that we were going to wait until she went to bed. I guess I was around 8 or 9. Anyway, she got drunk. She passed clean the F out, and she was passed out on her bed. And well, we grabbed a set of hair clipping shears and shaved half her head and left the other half.
I don't think I ever had a haircut story though. I think my brother was too, but then again, my brother had long hair too. Like when we were kids, my mom let both of us let his hair grow out too. His hair was just as long as mine. I wonder if I got a kitty picture of me.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly with you, Elizabeth. I mean, that's like I said, that's one of the themes in a lot of my videos is how they'd rather these kids rot in the system. They've got kids sleeping on fucking CPS floors, and they'd rather them do that than have a loving family that would take care of them. So,
Yeah, and that's crazy. It makes no sense at all. I mean, it literally makes no sense. Well, I thought I had a kitty picture of me. I guess I just have that one that I have on the thumbnail. I'd have to go dig through my uncle's photos on Facebook to find it. I know he got some more up there.
Oh, my parents have all kinds of embarrassing pictures of me in this house. Trust me. I've got it locked away under lock and key too, though.
We lost a lot of our like pictures of the of the family when they were younger because my grandma's house burned down some years ago, and she had like all the photo albums, all the kid pictures, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm, yeah, that's
So
it.
there's very few of them that survived, and my uncle actually has probably all of them on his Facebook, but he posts so many pictures that I'd still be here tomorrow trying to find them.
Yeah, that's the only problem with them being all over Facebook. If I had to try to find something I posted 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be there for a year trying to find it. But my dad fortunately scanned most of our family photos over onto a CD, so they're easily accessible, and we've got that. In if something awful happens, like the house burns down, that CD's in a safe deposit box, so we'll have that.
Yeah, I don't know. I try to take enough pictures of my grandbabies that I'll never run out, and I keep them all stored online in Google. They'll never go anywhere.
There you go. Yeah, Google Cloud wasn't a thing back then, though. So,
Yeah, I had a lot of pictures on Yahoo, but they disappeared.
I don't know. I've never used
I
Yahoo to
don't
store
find it on
pictures.
YouTube.
I know back in the day, the thing was GeoCities. Everyone had a GeoCities page, and it was
Didn't
one of the.
you remember GeoCities? Oh my
Yep.
God. That was the original Facebook or MySpace. Oh my God, I feel old now. Goodness, I feel really old. And Yahoo Chat. Everybody was on Yahoo Chat.
Oh well, there was Yahoo Chat. Before that, everything was AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah. I hated AOL Instant Messenger though, man, because the internet was so uncontrolled back then. Oh my God. I stopped using AOL Instant Messenger and AOL Chat because I was on there one time. There was like a whole group of people that used to get on there early in the mornings and just chat about just random stuff. So GeoCities. I'm gonna get to that in just a second. But yeah, so I'm in there one morning and it's just like the regular crew, and then somebody sent me an invite. So I clicked the link, and trust me, I got an eye full of something I never want to see again in my life. And I never
Oh
went
yeah,
back to AOL chat.
yeah. Because those old AOL chat rooms and stuff, they were really unregulated. So.
Yeah, yeah, you never know what you was gonna run across. That was like the dark web in the broad daylight. Oh,
Hmm.
GeoCities. GeoCities was kind of like the original Facebook, MySpace type. You made your profile, and like you could customize your background. You put your same information like on Facebook. You put your name, where you live, your age, different stuff like that. Tell a little bit about yourself. It was like Facebook, except without all the like instant messaging and people posting to your being able to post to your timeline or whatever. It was just like a page where you could add information, put pictures on it, but you had to actually go in there and change like the pictures and stuff. And you had to I learned a lot of HTML between GeoCities and this other website. I learned a lot of HTML because you can like change your fonts and you can do all kind of stuff. They made you get it the hard way back then.
Yep. Yeah, my first computer was a Commodore 64, so it had no operating system. Everything was code on that thing.
I had the Atari version. Remember the keyboard that you hooked to the computer?
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
the keyboard that you hook to the TV.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was the original game console for me, and I've been gaming ever since.
No, not me. I can't handle the whole Xbox stuff. I don't have the hand-eye coordination for that many buttons and shit. Give me an Atari, and I'll sit there and I'll play my Pac-Man, and I'm good.
I love gaming though. Matter of fact, okay. So you coding on MySpace? I never really got in MySpace, so I didn't even know you had the code on there. I think I had a MySpace for probably a month, and I don't even think I ever used it again. By the time I actually got into using social media, Facebook was like just starting to make its big debut. I think like 2010 is when I finally started using like the social media stuff that people are using nowadays.
Oh, I
Um,
had a MySpace, but I only had like my family and cousins and stuff on there. I never had a whole bunch of people on my MySpace. So.
really, Sleuth? Do you play online games or console games? I play console games like on PS4. Mostly I play RPGs. Like my favorite right now is Skyrim. I will play that over and over. I beat that game like a million times, and I just keep playing it again and again and again. And then there's an online game I like that's called Forsaken World. I mean, that is a beautiful game. That is a really beautiful game. Let me see if I can pull that one up and let you see it.
See, my husband's the gamer. He plays like League of Legends and Final Fantasy and a couple of others. But
I think I think Forsaken World is kind of like League of Legends. I'm not real sure though. I don't think I've ever actually played League of Legends. But yeah, I play mostly RPG type games, role play games, open world role play games. Um, and I like to play computer. I like to play mostly on the computer just because you can do more with your games on the computer. But I play on consoles too.
yeah, see, we have a PS4. We've got a Nintendo Switch. I got a PS3 out in the shed that's not even hooked up. And then I've got his $3,600 freaking gaming computer that we bought. So
Oh, I need one of those. That just sounds like I would be so in love. Yeah, definitely, Stu. You might have to teach me how to play some of those other games because I I don't even think I've ever played in games that you play like with other people for real. I like to watch like I watch my daughter when she plays Apex, and I like to watch my little granddaughter. She plays Fortnite.
see, my nephews are into Fortnite. I've never they got into Fortnite. They're also into Roblox, and there's one other game that they like real well. I'm trying to remember Minecraft. Yeah, that's it.
You know they have a whole channel dedicated to Minecraft. It's just like 24/7. Some guy playing Minecraft and talking about it.
That does not surprise me. Oh
I would
wow.
so love to have some old game systems. Like I would love to get my hands on an Atari system.
Well, now they sell the little retro Ataris that have the games preloaded on them and everything over at I think even Walmart carries them, but it's not the same as the
Yeah,
original
it's
console.
not the same. I would want to play like the actual like game.
See, I have fond memories of the arcade because my grandma she owned a 7-Eleven store. When I was a little kid, she'd give me a roll of quarters to go back in the arcade part of her store and play the video games back there. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys this game that I love. I haven't played in a couple of weeks.
You've got mail.
I can't log on my main character though because then the people in my guild are gonna be like, "Where have you been?" I haven't played in at least 2.5 weeks. I just haven't really had like the desire to play it. I've been so focused on some other things. All right, Slim's mom. You have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with me.
See, my husband, he uses the gaming as a stress relief. For him, gaming's like what cars are to me. When I need to get out, when I need to let all my shit out, I get in either my Mustang or my truck, and that's how I relieve stress. For
Oh my
him,
goodness, I
it's
think I just
for him, it's his gaming. So,
crap. It is such a good like stress reliever, honestly. And I like it because like when you play, you don't really have to like I work out a lot of my problems when I play games. Like
well, see,
like
now when I was younger, I used it as a stress reliever. I had the original Nintendo system, and my favorite game on there was Duck Hunt because if there was a teacher I was pissed off at, or whoever I was pissed off at, I'd picture their face on all the ducks, and I'd sit there and go shooting.
or for me it's just like in 2020 I had like two really major emotional losses, and
Mm.
that's when I started playing Skyrim, and I played that game every waking hour for 2 months straight.
Yeah, I
But it
hear it's
allowed
very.
me time. It allowed me time to kind of work through my emotions and to like really just kind of get my mind in a better place than what it was because I was bad off emotionally. I was done for.
Oh, I can imagine. I hear that Skyrim's pretty addictive. My brother-in-law, he's big on that Skyrim thing.
I love Skyrim. I mean, it's an older game, but even though it's an older game, like the graphics are still really decent. The gameplay, like there's so many ways that you can play it because there's so many character builds that you can do, and I mean you can create your own storylines that you play. So it's pretty fun for me. Okay, let me
Yeah,
try
I
this
can
again.
see where games would be a great outlet, Elizabeth. I mean, it helps my husband. He's got a lot of emotional stuff that happened to him from when he was younger, and it seems to help him to get through his panic attacks and stuff like that. So, whatever works. I mean, I used to give him a lot of shit about all the money that he was spending on his gaming and stuff, and then I added up all the money I've spent on cars and shit, and I was like, yeah, I can't say anything.
Yeah, driving too. Now I like to go. I love to go for a good drive. I cannot wait until I can just get hop in my truck and just go. I'll be drove halfway across country in a minute and keep going.
Oh yeah, I love to drive. Not so much on the road, so oh my gosh, that for 20 years the interstate between here and Oklahoma City has you cannot make that trip without there being road construction every single time, and it just drives me bananas. And then if you go to Tulsa, you got to take the turnpike, and we've been paying on that turnpike for 30 years. And you would think if you're paying to take a road, it would be maintained, right? Nope.
Yeah.
Bounce, 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 bounce.
hmm Yeah, I love to drive. One thing I do like about here since I've been here, there's this one road that my son-in-law showed me, and it just goes on forever. Like we went driving down, he was like, "I'll show you something." So we went driving down, and we were just driving and driving and driving and driving and driving and driving, and the road just never ends. Like like you literally
Oh
just
yeah.
gotta say, you know what, forget it. Let me turn around and go home
See,
before I run out of gas.
I've got one favorite trail that I like to go. It's called the Pig Trail, and it's like I don't know if you've ever heard of Tail of the Dragon, but it's similar to Tail of the Dragon.
Never heard of that.
It's real twisty and windy with a bunch of hairpin turns. Yeah, I love that drive.
Hmm.
I mean, I like Tulsa itself, Elizabeth. It's just the that turnpike I can't stand because you're paying to take these roads, and they're not maintained at all, and they keep raising the price of the tolls on top of that. It's just crazy.
I don't think you could pay me to live in Tulsa. I actually considered moving there. That's how I ended up in Dallas. I was actually considering moving to Tulsa, so I left to go to Tulsa, and there was like a million tornadoes that were touching down in Tulsa back to back to back. That was in 2010.
Now, see, tornadoes don't bother me. The only reason why I'm not a storm chaser, because I did that before. I used to love to chase storms, but my husband won't let me do it anymore. So,
I am terrified of tornadoes. Give
oh,
me a
so is he. So is he. If the tornado comes, he pulls me into the bathroom with the door shut, and we're in there until that tornado passes. So,
Give me a hurricane any day. But tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanoes, y'all can have all that.
now, see, how can you say that a hurricane's better than a tornado? At least with a tornado, all you got's wind. You don't have the water that comes along with it.
Did you like Dallas, or did you? I mean, did you not like it? Is why you moved, or did you move for a different reason, Elizabeth? I love Dallas.
See, I love Dallas, except for the traffic in Dallas is a nightmare.
It really is. It would take me 2 hours to get to work, but the same drive home at night when there was no traffic was like 25 minutes.
And see, I'm so jealous that you're in Dallas because y'all have an In and Out burger there, and I'm craving me some In and Out.
I'm not there anymore. I want to be. I'm just not there anymore.
Mm.
I left
Where are
Dallas
you at now?
in 2015. I'm in Louisiana.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I left Dallas in 2015, went back home to Florida, and now I'm in Louisiana. But my ultimate goal is to end up back in Dallas. I love it. Dallas was great to me. It really was.
See, when I managed the car dealership in Oklahoma City, I used to have a team that would deliver cars to Dallas. And every time I sent a driver out with a car to deliver to Dallas, I made him bring me In and Out burger back.
I have never eaten at an In-N-Out burger, but my favorite place to eat when I was there was God, what's the name of it? I can't even think of the name of it now. Taco Cabana.
Oh yeah, those are good too. We have those in Oklahoma City.
Taco Cabana is so good.
Yeah, see, I miss that place too because in Arkansas we don't have Taco Cabana, and in the town I'm in we don't have Whataburger, we don't have Jack in the Box,
Oh
we don't
God,
have. Yeah, it's crazy.
that sounds miserable.
Yep.
So this is the game that I play most often. I'm just gonna create a quick character. This game is so beautiful. Make an elf
Yeah, that does look similar to League of
bar.
Legends. Well, it
Make her
kind of
birthday my birthday.
changing her character around and all that.
Oh, what's that?
See, I never tried their fries, Elizabeth, because they would have been cold by the time they got back to me, and I don't like nuked fries, but their hamburgers are awesome.
When you were in Dallas, did you know it was a place called Pipe Dream? It was like a tobacco shop.
Who, me?
They had one, yeah, they had one on Lower Greenville. Then they had one over like off Maple Avenue. And one
See,
in Arlington.
I haven't been to Dallas in years, so I don't know. The last time I went to Dallas was, God, probably 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I always just had one of my, like I said, I'd send one of my team members out to Dallas with a car and make them bring the In and Out burger back to me.
Okay. Yeah, I loved Dallas. It was like a world of opportunities.
Yeah, Oklahoma City has some really great Asian restaurants, honestly. And my favorite one was a little bitty restaurant over off of Southwest 59th Street. It was called T&T, I think. And they had the best egg rolls. Oh my God, I crave those egg rolls still.
Oh, is that this game making all that noise? Only thing about me is, oh no, it's not. I do not play games with noise. I will turn off all the sound on my games.
Well, fortunately, my husband wears a headset when he's gaming, so I don't hear any of the noise from the games.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I cannot do noise.
And we turned my dad's bedroom into his office now, so he's got his own space for his gaming computer and all of his work stuff and everything. So
I thought about making a gaming channel too, just for this game because it's such a good game, but like not very many people play it anymore.
he's got a channel, but he doesn't really post a whole lot to it.
I
He
used
does
to
a
play
lot of
it for
video
hours.
editing and stuff and graphics with his channel. So
I can't wait to get back into practicing with that video editing software. I was really having fun with that. Yeah, when I got sick in November, it kind of threw me off because like I had the channel. I started my channel in like July, I think the end of July, beginning of August, like that. And I was just kind of like starting to feel it out and get comfortable with it, and then I got sick and ended up in the hospital. So
wow,
I kind of lost my pace.
that's crazy. Oh, you
Yeah.
know me. I am not a tech person, so I don't video edit. What you see is what you get. Eventually I might have my husband edit some of my videos, but because he's great at that, not me.
I'm gonna end up doing more lives here soon, especially after we move. We're moving like the end of next month, so I'll have more like dedicated space, so it's not like a bunch of background noise and the kids going crazy and TVs blaring. But that and I want to get a new device, even if I could just get like a little tablet. Because see, a lot of times it's not that I don't have the time to do lives; it's just that I can't really do lives with what's going on in the background.
Oh, I understand. I
But
understand.
if I can grab myself a little tablet or something, I could always sit out on the patio or something and do my live or whatever. Because I really want to be on more. I want to like be able to cover the stories as they're happening. Like when the
Yeah,
whole
I
Gabby Petito stuff was going on, I had a little more leeway to kind of be on, and I could actually get on for a little while and cover that live as it was happening.
I'm with you, Elizabeth. I'm technologically disadvantaged. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing more lives too now that I've got a dedicated space where I can do them. I did a live here last week on Michael Michael Monkey Bond and how it's a tragedy that they haven't issued any type of Amber Alert in his case yet.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, and I know they have like criteria for the Amber Alerts or whatever, but we see like in Summer's case, they issued an Amber Alert and she doesn't meet Amber Alert criteria. They're
Well, the
even
thing is,
saying that they don't feel like it was an abduction, but yet an abduction is like one of the main criteria for an Amber Alert. So they have the option to do it. I just
well, here's my thing. I don't think there should be all that criteria for one to be issued. I think, regardless of age, regardless of whether it's a runaway or an abduction, I think every child deserves an Amber Alert because that first 24 to 48 hours is so critical. And what's the worst thing that happens if you issue an Amber Alert and it turns out that it was the parents that had something to do with it? You cancel the alert, but you get that out and you make sure it's broadcast to all those people that have devices in their hands, and that increases the chances so much of bringing that child home.
Now, I kind of understand though why they don't issue Amber Alerts for everyone because you got to think people get desensitized to it. That's actually why when I was reading up on the milk cartons, because you know a few times we've had the discussions about the milk cartons. Well, one of the reasons that they stopped doing the milk cartons is because people became desensitized to it. They weren't paying as much attention to the faces on the milk cartons as they were when it was new and novel. And with the Amber Alert, I feel like what they're doing is they don't want to like overuse it to the point where people aren't even paying attention when they get a notification, or people are actually turning the notifications off on their devices. Because if nobody's paying attention to it or even allowing it to come through, then it's really serving no purpose. But I
Well,
do think that the same way they made an exception, like for Summer Wells, that there are more cases where they can make an exception, like Michael Vaughn, because in his case, they actually have a vehicle description. They actually feel like he was abducted, so why not make that exception for him?
well, yeah, or Angel Overstreet's another good example. They've already said they feel like there was some type of foul play or abduction going on. Why haven't they issued an Amber Alert in that case?
Exactly. And that's a good point, Elizabeth. I really disagree with the way that they use that runaway label and that juvenile label because that kind of, when you look at it, it has a bad connotation. When you think runaway, you think the bad kid. They're out partying, they're out doing drugs, they're drinking, they're laid up in a hotel room, you know what I'm saying? They're being rebellious or whatever. When you hear the word juvenile applied as a label, even though it just means a certain age demographic, we think juvenile delinquent, juvenile justice center, juvenile hall, juvenile courts. You're a delinquent. So I really hate it like when kids come up missing and they apply those labels because then people don't take as much interest, or they don't feel that it's as important to look for these kids because oh, it's just a runaway, oh, it's just a juvenile delinquent. When actually, like you said, they're usually running from abuse. We had that girl not long ago who ran away, the one that they found in New York, who ran away because her mother had been abusing her all this time. Sent her to the store. She lost the EBT card, and her mom told her not to come back without it, so she didn't come back. She went to New York.
Well, it's not just that, but it seems like any time it's someone above the age of 12, they automatically label it a runaway. And that's not the case. And even if it is, I feel like they deserve some type of alert and more focus than what these cops are giving them. You know, they're still doing the whole, oh, you
Definitely.
got to wait 24 to 48 hours to report it. I mean, come on.
And that's another thing. Why are they even still doing that when everybody in the world knows that that is not true? You don't have to wait 24 hours, but they still try to push that in people's face like, oh, you got to wait 24 hours. No, you don't.
But a lot of these kids that they're labeling runaways, how do they know that that kid didn't get snatched and is now in a sex traffic ring? So
Exactly. Especially, I mean, you guys might remember when I did the Bakersfield girls, all these first time missing, all these kids first time missing, first time missing, first time missing. How do you have that many teens going first time missing, all in the same age and demographics,
I know
all in a
it's
right that
nuts,
small circle?
and I understand that they got to have a little bit of criteria for the Amber Alerts. I get what you're saying, but it's kind of like a double edged sword. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't, because so many more kids could be found if we did have that going out, it seems like. But at the same time, you're right. A lot of people would just turn the freaking alerts off because they'd get tired of their phone buzzing. So, but like
Exactly.
the thing is here, even when they issue an Amber Alert, I've got my alerts turned on. I think in the 5 years that I've had T-Mobile service, I might have had 5 alerts come through on my phone, and that includes silver alerts.
And you know, I never get Amber Alerts either. I can't tell you the last time I got an Amber Alert on my phone.
And I've made sure I've triple checked that I've got all my alert notifications turned on. So I don't know.
Okay, not that one. Hold on. Elizabeth, you were saying you didn't see that story about that girl. Her name was Josiah Moore. And this was a couple of months ago. I hate it when they make me turn off my ad blocker. But yeah, this was a few months ago, and her mother sent her to the store.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is
exactly,
the upgraded
Elizabeth.
one.
She's saying the same thing. And then we see it even in cases like Michael Monkey Vaughn's and Angel Overstreet's and many others where the criteria is met for an Amber Alert to be issued and they're still not issued. And that just
Mm.
And the thing is that different states have different criteria for the Amber Alerts to be issued, which is another thing that irks me to no end because it should be a standardized system across all 50 states. That's the only way that it makes sense. Just like it makes no sense for CPS to have different rules in different states. That should be
It really
standardized
doesn't.
across the board.
Okay, so here's the story. Excuse me. New Jersey teen Josiah Moore was stabbed, beaten by mother before running away. Josiah Moore, a 14-year-old New Jersey girl who was found safe in New York City following a weeks-long search, allegedly endured years of abuse at the hands of her mother. A criminal complaint filed in the Essex County Court details the allegations against Jasmine. Oh my God, come on. Me and these ad blockers. Okay, what is this? Okay, a criminal complaint filed in the Essex County Court details the allegations against Jamie Moore, who was accused of verbally and physically abusing her daughter, forcing her to panhandle, and refusing to enroll her in school. The alleged abuse went on for years, the complaint states. Josiah ran away from home to escape. The young lady appears to have run away, acting Essex County Prosecutor Theodore Stevens said. She did not want to make herself known to anyone as to where she was. She seemed to be more so at ease where she was. The teen was found last week in New York City. She had vanished October 14th after visiting a deli in East Orange, New Jersey, where her family lives. Stevens said the teen had spent time in local throughout New Jersey and New York and had stayed in a shelter in Brooklyn before she was located. On the day Josiah disappeared, she had her mother that she had lost their EBT card, which many families use to help buy food. Jamie Moore, accused of verbally and physically abusing her daughter for losing the card. The document describes several instances where the teen was allegedly beaten with objects such as a frying pan. The mother is also accused of stabbing Josiah in her shoulder, spraying bleach in her eyes, and pulling her braids out. The alleged abuse left Josiah with scars and bruises. The teen was also forced to care for her 3-year-old brother and would have to cook for him or else they would not eat. Josiah was forced to miss days of virtual schooling because she was caring for her sibling, and her mother allegedly refused to enroll her in the 2021-2022 school year, according to the complaint. The complaint also describes how Josiah was forced to stand on the street and beg for money. Her mother would allegedly beat her if she came home without a certain amount. The complaint paints a very different picture than the one Jamie Moore portrayed in public during the search for Josiah. I cannot imagine what she might be going through just being away from us this long, being away from her family who loves her very much, her mother said at a press conference. If anybody knows anything, please come forward. At this time, Jamie Moore said that her daughter came home and said she had lost the EBT card and she told the teen to backtrack her steps. Long story short, the mom got on TV on the press conference, boo hoo crying. My baby did not run away. She would never run away. And this, that, and other thing, putting on the whole 9 yards. And the whole time she had been abusing this girl indescribably. And that's why the girl ran away. So that happened
Yeah.
back in October.
And you see that time and time again in these cases. And honestly, you feel for these kids. And I agree with you, Elizabeth. How the hell did no one see those signs of abuse? How the hell did no one call CPS? But the problem is even if they had called CPS, you know it and I know it, the chances are CPS would have popped their head in, popped their head out, and that would have been the end of it.
Yep, exactly. But the even sadder part is that they labeled this child a runaway,
Yeah.
and the whole time, even though she was a runaway, people, it puts bad taste in people's mouth because, oh, she's just a runaway, but she was running for her life. She was running because she needed help, not because she wanted to be out partying and acting grown.
Well, look at that Turpin case. Had that little girl that found the police officer not had the actual pictures on her phone showing her siblings chained up, that
Hmm.
officer wouldn't have believed her.
He sure would have just took her right back.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, they really need to do a better job, at least with the labeling of these cases, if nothing else.
Well, shit, it's not even if the house is cleaning food in the fridge. Look at Summer Wells' case. That house was a pigsty, and yet those kids were allowed to stay there. You know?
Yeah, because it takes more than a dirty house to remove a child, and and this is another thing too. They're so uh, arbitrary with the removal of children because there are cases where children are removed from homes where they should never have been removed. There are so many kids who never know abuse until they are actually put into the system and put into foster care in these different group homes and programs. And then you have cases where children are being actively abused, such as Ariel Sellers being actively abused in horrendous ways, and nobody steps in to take any action. They just turn a blind eye. You know, so it's as if not only are the requirements and the rules and protocols different from state to state and agency to agency, but pretty much with worker to worker, even within the same agency.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's arbitrary who they'll remove and who they won't. And my other issue with the system is that they seem to be too focused on reunification. I mean, if you are a child and you've been abused 90% of your life, do you really want them to try to reunify you with your parents, with your abuser?
Exactly. I mean, and again, back to the question that I always ask: when does a parent's right to parent outweigh a child's right to live?
Exactly. I mean, and I get what you're saying about a dirty house isn't always a reason to remove, but I will tell you, I had a neighbor when I was living at the apartment complex that their house, I mean, their apartment was absolutely atrocious. Their toilets were black, their sinks did not flow properly, the whole place was infested with cockroaches. It stunk when you walked in. I'm sorry, that is not a suitable environment for you to be raising kids in.
It really isn't, but something like that can be fixed. People can be taught to clean. People can be provided with cleaning supplies. I mean, if it's a situation where it's just a dirty house and the kids are still they're being fed properly, they're clothed, they're going to school or whatever, then that's just a matter of teaching or helping someone to learn or improve their life skills. I would rather I would rather see a child in a dirty house that can be cleaned but they're not abused than to see a child in a spotless palace and be dogged out.
I get what you're saying, but not all abuse is physical. That to me is psychological abuse of those kids. And in this case, I mean, it's a case to case thing. This particular case,
Sure.
it wasn't a matter of them not having cleaning supplies or no one to help them clean. People had gone into that apartment and helped them clean it up, and it got back like that within a week's time. These people were just fucking lazy. They did not
Just
they
lazy.
didn't
Okay.
care about those kids. They didn't care what their apartment looked and smelled like. And those kids were getting sent to school stinking in dirty clothes and everything else. So then you've got the issue of kids bullying them when they went to school like that. So it's a never-ending cycle with no good outcome.
True. True. There is that. Because I recall when I was in school, even in elementary school, there were kids that got picked on because of the way they smelled, or because their hair wasn't done, or the clothes that they wore. I remember there was one boy in particular that his pants, they all call them high water. Your pants are too short and they're up above your ankles, and it seemed like every pair of pants that he wore to school were high waters, and people would just pick on him for that. And this was like second, third grade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's, a lot of it is bullying over stupid shit like you don't have the name brand clothes, or your pants are a little higher than they should be. That's one thing, but to purposely send your kids into school
Yeah,
stinking and in
dirty and
dirty clothes is
unkempt.
a whole other issue.
Yeah, a whole other issue. Exactly.
I get if you can't afford to buy school clothes, that's not something you should lose your kids for. That's something that, there's programs out there where you can get help with getting clothing for your kids for school and stuff. Not everyone knows about those programs that I can look at. But when you've had the help to clean your apartment up, not once, not twice, but 3 different times, and you still let it get into that condition, you've got dogs shitting all over the floor everywhere, and
Oh
you
dear
never
God,
pick the dog shit up. I'm sorry. You need your kids taken out of there.
that's a bit much. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
clothes can be washed, Elizabeth, but this is an apartment complex, okay? So they don't have a washer and dryer in their apartment, and their excuse is, oh, we don't have money for the washer and dryer to go do clothes. So it's whatever. I get what people are saying about, it's not always the case. Things can be fixed. Yes, I agree. Things can be fixed, but these parents have to be willing to fix those things too.
You're right.
You know, I personally called DHS on that family 3 different times, and they walked in there. They saw this environment. They never removed the kids. They never even put them under a 30-day case study to try to improve the situation. They never did shit. They just left those kids in that situation. And on top of all that, the daddy was dealing and doing meth out of the apartment.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the parents have to be willing to put the tools and knowledge to work. It's pure insanity. You know that that particular case drove me nuts, and I was like, I don't see how the fuck those kids keep getting left there in that situation without even so much as let's do a follow-up study on these kids, give them 30 days to clean the house. I'm all for giving people a chance to clean up their shit and keep their kids, but to not do anything, to not put any type of action plan in place, that is pure failure on the part of CPS. Because I'm not saying just yank the kids right off Jump Street. Definitely put an action plan in place. But if the parents can't follow an action plan, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, there comes a point when you just run out of options. But it's like we've been saying, the whole system really needs to be torn down and reconstructed from the ground up.
Absolutely, and it needs to be standardized across all 50 states. This whole we've got one rule for Arkansas and one set of rules for Oklahoma and one set of rules for Colorado is fucked up.
Yeah, it really
What
is.
can you do as regular people? Well, for one, you can write your congressmen and your senators. You can write the president. That's where you start. And being in communities like this and learning about how bad the system is a good start too, because education is power.
And not only that, even aside from just like voting and writing letters and trying to get laws passed, it's the people in the organizations that need to be changed. The only way is going to be for people who have a heart for these children and who really want to protect them and help them to maintain and strengthen families where they can and to find proper placement where they can't. We need people like that to actually go and get jobs in these agencies. We need people who have
Absolutely.
a heart for the children to actually go and get a job as a social worker, as a CPS supervisor, as a counselor, as a guardian ad litem, or whatever it is, to volunteer their time sometimes if they have to, in order to make sure that these children are protected. I mean, people who have the ability to do so can't continue to sit around and say somebody should do something. Somebody should do something. No, the people who can do something need to get up and do something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We can't keep passing the buck and say we need the senators to do this and the congressmen to do that. No, it's gotta start with you. Even if you can't do it, you might know someone who maybe they're getting ready to go to college and they don't quite know what they want to do. Encourage them to go into the field of social work, especially
Yeah.
if you have a niece or nephew, a little cousin that's has an affinity for kids, who's good with kids, who's empathetic towards other people, who's intuitive. Encourage them to go into a service field that will benefit children.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one, Elizabeth. You know what's really messed up is the fact that a lot of these school lunch ladies are getting fired for giving the kids lunch for
Yeah,
free.
for giving away free food that they're going to end up throwing away because nobody ate.
Yeah, that's completely fucked up.
It really is.
And I mean, and even if you can't get into the social work aspect of it, it could be something as simple as you volunteering at your local girls and boys club, because that may be the only place they have where they feel safe, where they have the ability to have physical activity, um, and interact with peers without the fear of being abused. So,
Exactly. I mean, there really has to be more done. And then we had the conversation the other night about the orphanages, and people were saying that they don't think orphanages are a good idea. But when you think about it, the system is essentially running orphanages right now. They have group homes that they pile kids into. They have kids sleeping in offices, in foster care offices, because there aren't placements for them. So it's basically an orphanage type situation. You have a bunch of kids who need placement who are in a facility together.
yeah.
So why not make it an organized system where it's geared for that? It's not kids sleeping on a couch in their caseworker's office. It's not a bunch of kids in a group home with little to no oversight because the staff doesn't really care. They're just there for a paycheck.
In a lot of ways, the orphanages were almost better than what we have now, because a lot of those orphanages were run by the churches. And as much as I'm not a church person, those churches did treat the kids right. I will say that, at least the orphanages that I was familiar with. My dad worked real heavily with St. Joseph's Orphanage in Oklahoma City, and we took in a lot of kids and fostered them from there. So, I
True.
mean, there were good orphanages and bad orphanages, I guess, but it's not any worse than these group homes that they're in right now.
Elizabeth, the whole world has gone crazy. It really and truly has. Everything is vice versa. What's right is wrong, and what's wrong is right. What makes
Yep.
sense is now insane. And what used to be insane now makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, some of the churches actually do good. I'll say that. Like I said, you know, I had really great experience with St. Joseph's Orphanage out of Oklahoma City. I know that they're not all like that. The thing of it is, and my only issue with organized religion as a whole is that organized religion has been the cause of so many wars, it's not even funny. If it wasn't for organized religion, we wouldn't see half the wars that we have right now. So that's my issue with it.
Now, here's a thought, Elizabeth, because you were talking about the in the '90s and the laundries and the history of Ireland. Now, true old school orphanages were not what you wanted, but in today's society, with the advancements that we have and the resources that we have, we should be able to, as a society, establish orphanages that are beneficial to children who are in need of housing until they can be placed with a permanent family. We should be able to, I mean, now we have child labor laws. We have rules about how children can be treated, how they can be disciplined, what you can and can't do to them. And if we can establish um, an orphanage structure, system structure, and get the right people in place. Like I said, people with a heart for the children, not just somebody who's there to get a paycheck, but people who actually want to be there and help these children to staff these places. Then we shouldn't have any of those issues with children being abused or used for child labor or not fed or whatever else was going on in the old school orphans.
Exactly. Because the biggest issue with the old school orphanages is the horrible abuse that would go on. And I'm not talking about, the 80s. I'm talking about the 40s, 50s, 60s. They would have just horrible abuse, atrocities going on with these kids. In some cases, they were used as medical experiments, and these kids would end up
Mm-hmm.
dying and end up buried in mass graves that no one, and then they wouldn't even have a death certificate issued for them. They'd end up in a mass grave and be completely forgotten about. So,
Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm gonna say this. Uh, because you're talking about donating. I grew up in the church, and I'm just gonna be honest. I am not for most churches. The church that I grew up in, like I said, my great grandfather was a pastor. He had one church in Florida, he had one in Alabama. He was the founding pastor of both churches. At the time he died, he was 96. He was the pastor of the church in Alabama still, and he was acting pastor of another church in Florida, where their pastor had passed, and they were waiting to install a new pastor. So he was the acting pastor there for about 2 years. I grew up in old school churches. I grew up in old school churches where when they raised the collection, they called it the poor offering. And the poor offering actually went to help people, not just the people in the church, but people in the community could come and get a little change to put on their light bill or get some food for their kids or some help with some clothes or whatever they needed. I grew up in that kind of church. I grew up in the kind of church where nobody in the churches that I went to, if they saw you hungry, they might not drop cash in your hand. They're going to go in the nearest place and get you something to eat. If they saw you with no shoes on, they're going to go somewhere and get you a pair of shoes. You feel me? So some churches are good. I'm definitely not for these mega churches like Kenneth Copeland and T.D. Jakes and all them. I ain't got no use for none of that. If a church is so big
exactly.
that if the church is so big that the pastor doesn't know each individual face in there by name, it's too big.
Yep. Yep. And that's a lot of my issue with the churches myself is that you see them passing this collection plate around left and right. Sometimes three different collections. In my mom and dad's church,
Yeah.
goddamn, 3, 4 collections during a mass, and then you see the same people that go to that church that are in the poorer communities, and their kids malnourished, and everything. And I'm like, well, where's all this money going?
Child, let me tell you,
It's going for the, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Churches take a tithe off food stamps.
Well, it's going for these preachers' cars. It's going for their nice houses that they're in, but you don't see it going back to the community like what you were talking about. It goes for these nice gymnasiums and shit. Well, that's all lovely, but if the kid's not getting fed at home and they're not getting help from the church for that kid to eat, I'm sure he'd rather have that than the fucking gymnasium to play in. So.
Now, see, this is where the culture difference comes in, Elizabeth. Because, see, for you, you think the black churches are more empathetic and more caring, and to me, sometimes it seems like the white church are, because I know in the city where I was born and raised, every single white church, if you can call it a white church, has like a food pantry. They give out food for the community. They um, have a clothing closet. They've got stuff going on for the community. But for the most part, in the black churches, it's only a few people that really know about they can go there and get help.
Well, I will say that in my area, that most of the churches here do have a small little pantry box that has canned goods in it that whoever can drive up to and get that, and that's well and good. But there's, given the amount of money that these churches are taking in, I think there's a whole lot more than they could do than have a pantry box that their parishioners supply the food for, by the way, not the church. So that's just where I'm coming from with that. And I think here's how I look at it. Yes, the white churches may have those pantry boxes more often or whatnot, but I think the black churches are the first ones that would actually take a family out to have a meal over what the white churches would do.
Yeah, you're right. They're about equal, I guess, just in different ways.
Of course, there's some mega black churches too. I mean, I've been to some big ass mega black Baptist churches with my friends too. So
yeah, I don't do any of those. I ain't even lying. I don't do any of those. When churches get to talking about and throwing around titles, apostle this, bishop, dad, reverend, doctor, so and so, I was like, yep, you all about you. I'm going the other way. If I see that the pastor got on designer name brand and everybody in the church wearing something out of Family Dollar, I ain't got time.
There you go. Yeah, I got tired of seeing the preachers with brand new houses, brand new cars and stuff, and then you've got these parishioners that some of them can't even afford a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese to feed to their kids. So.
Yeah, it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. But the church has really become a business for a lot of people, though. It's not even for a lot of people. It's not even about piety or even religion. It's about money.
Oh well, yeah. And my other issue is these people, these churches, are so-called Christians that want to pick and choose what they want to believe out of the Bible, because they want to quickly point to Leviticus where it says, man shall not lay with man, which that's been translated and retranslated so many times it's not even funny. But they don't, at the same time, they want to point that out in Leviticus, but they've got a sleeve tattoo up and down their arm, and Leviticus says you shouldn't have tattoos either, so...
See, that's the thing. Everybody is so quick to try to point a finger at everybody else's sin when really, aside from blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, no sin is greater than the other. So really, nobody has any ground to point finger at anybody and say, "Oh, your sin is so much worse than mine," because truly, it's not. They're all the same. It's all
exactly because I
exactly.
believe there's a verse somewhere in that magical book that they like so much that says, judge not, yet ye judge. So
But then again, you know how it is. People always, whether it's religion or politics or anything else, people will always pick and choose whatever data, whatever verse or whatever book is going to promote their agenda and whatever it is that they're trying to get done. So, I mean, it's the same way. Even if you're listening to somebody spit you statistics for, let's say, a new medicine, depending on how they phrase it and which numbers they choose to use, this person could have you thinking this is the miracle cure. It's exactly what you need. It's not going to hurt you. There's no side effects. But the other person somebody else can come and use the exact same statistics and present them in a different way and have you thinking you're going to take the death pill if you take it. So it's
Oh
really in
yeah,
the way that information is presented. They cherry pick, but it happens in all areas of life.
absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know, I have to laugh at the medication commercials on TV. They talk about how wonderful it is. This is going to help all your
Cat
blah blah
Williams.
blah. Oh, but it may cause impotence and your dick might fall off, but it'll help your heart. I mean,
I love Cat Williams. He talked about that. He was like, "You ever be listening to the commercials? You ever watch a TV and then a little quiet commercial comes on and they tell you about the medicine that they was praising, and it's like, did you take this medicine and you or a loved one was
oh
killed?"
God, yes.
I
Oh God, yeah.
love Cat Williams, man. I wish he'd make a comeback. He is hilarious.
And it's not just medicine though. Now they got a lawsuit over freaking baby powder. I mean, come on.
Man,
It,
it's
it,
so
it
jacked up because they be knowing this stuff ain't no good for people, and then they keep pushing it out there anyway till they can't push it out there no more.
shit. I'm 46 years old. I probably breathed in enough asbestos in my life that my lungs are crystallized. So there you go, Elizabeth.
Oh dear
Oh,
God. All right, guys, it is almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I've been on here 2 hours. I don't even be online 2 hours like that. I'm gonna have to get me a little sleep so that I can party with my G babies tomorrow so they can run me all through the store and pick up cakes and cupcakes and ice creams and all that good stuff.
well, it's been a great live with you, and I hope you have the happiest of birthdays with your grandbabies tomorrow.
Indeed, I had a lot of fun with you guys tonight. I enjoyed just hanging out and having some laughs and just talking about a little bit of everything. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
ma'am.
Good night, Elizabeth. You hung in there to the very end.
Yeah, good night, Elizabeth. She's one of my faithfuls. She's in every chat and uh, every video that I go to. It seems that we keep running into each other. So I think we're stalking each other.
All right, y'all. Good night, and I will catch y'all sometime next week.
Good night. You have a great one.
You too.
All right, bye.